March 9th at 6 p.m., 2021. I call this meeting of the Wellfleet Select Board to order in accordance with the temporary suspension and enhancement of the open meeting law requirements by Governor Baker. The first item on the agenda is public announcements, open session, and public comments. Public comments must be brief. The board will not deliberate or vote on any matter raised solely during announcements and public comments. Do I have any comments?
You have a few hands raised.
Okay. Chief Hurley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have just two brief comments this evening. The first is I just want to acknowledge and thank members of our department along with Truro, Eastham, Orleans, and the Sheriff's Department on a very long and labor-intensive drug investigation. We got some pretty bad stuff off the street, which, reminds me as the chief and our department that, really we still need to work on prevention and rehabilitation and also making sure that this stuff stays out of our community. So, and also just acknowledge my two lead investigators, Sergeant Paul Clark and Detective Nick Daly, who since the fall have put in a lot of hours, a lot of dedication, a lot of ups and downs with investigations like this. So I just wanted to acknowledge that tonight. And the second, the lieutenant applied for a grant through the Department of Public Safety on a speed trailer, along with some enforcement money and child's passenger safety money. So there was a social media post put out today. You will see a little speed trailer around town, just acknowledging, for people to slow down, especially on our secondary roads, which we tend to get quite a few complaints in certain neighborhoods. And if you would like the device in your neighborhood, please contact us, either Officer Ed Garneau or Michael Allen, and we can get the device on your road for a few days to slow cars down. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Rebecca?
I think Susan Spear is actually on, and I know she wanted to read something to the select board. Susan, are you on? It says she's joining.
It's my life. This is what I do for a living.
Mute herself, and if she can't, I have it. I know I wanted her to do it.
If it's the letter she wrote, should that be under letters at the end of our meeting rather than announcements?
Well, she wanted to announce it because she wasn't sure if it would be publicly acknowledged. And I thought if it was brief, she could just say a quick, thank you to the Wellfleet Market.
I'll move on to Ryan Curley.
Yeah, so I just checked an OML determination that had been previously sent to me. And it looks like as long as the meeting ID was updated before the meeting was scheduled to start, I believe we're okay. So thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that was right on the nick of time there, Rebecca.
Quick with my fingers, that's for sure.
So thank you, Becca. This is Susan Spear. I've had huge technical difficulties, but I have been able, I believe, to connect at least by audio, and I would be happy to read this or not read it. That's totally up to the select board.
Go ahead.
Okay. For the past year, there have been many individuals and organizations who have worked tirelessly to keep Wellfleet a safe and welcoming community in what have been trying times. The Wellfleet Well Line, who I represent, would like to suggest that the Select Board publicly recognize the Marketplace for their ongoing contributions to our community during the challenges of the past year. The employees of the Marketplace are, in our opinion, unsung heroes. They have provided a welcoming place while also requiring behaviors to keep us all safe from COVID exposure. As a gesture of appreciation, we further suggest each of the market staff receives a free beach transfer station sticker from the town as a token of our enormous thanks.
Okay, Thank you, Susan.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, does not have, I do not see any more hands up, so we will move on. Second thing on our list is COVID-19 updates and recommendations. Do we have Hillary here?
Yes.
So,
Hi, Hillary.
how are you all? I hope well. I actually don't have too much of an update today. Folks are still trying to get vaccines. Some folks have received their vaccines. CVS, Stop and Shop, all those normal outlets are still offering it. We're still fighting to get more vaccine to our little clinic at Little Creek, which seems to fall on deaf ears, but we keep at it and continue to forge ahead and continue to ask for more. That being said, we will most likely be holding a second dose clinic on the 18th for those folks we vaccinated 2 weeks ago. So a link will go out by email to all those folks that were registered. They should follow the link and they will be able to sign up for their second dose. If anyone's having trouble, do reach out and we're here to help. We're moving ahead with our homebound, working with the COA and the fire department and Outer Cape Health to get the homebound folks vaccinated. If you know of someone who has not been contacted, reach out and let us know, and we can certainly get them on the list for that as well. Our numbers seem to be holding fairly steady. We have 3 active cases at the moment, which is less than we had for the prior 2 weeks. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions folks may have.
I have a question, Hillary. So the site at Cape Cod Community College, that's not a mass vaccination site, right? We still have no mass vaccination site on Cape Cod, just Gillette Stadium?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Hillary? No? Okay. I guess I'll just say, the population and demographics of Cape Cod were one of the highest population of those who qualify for the first phase and second phase of vaccination. And even though our population percentage is on par with other areas, the percentage of people who qualify that have gotten vaccinated is far lower. And I would like the state to understand that if they expect us to host the country as the #1 tourist destination in the state of Massachusetts and probably in the Northeast and collect all the tax revenue from the Cape that they rely on as far as sales tax, meals tax, to have all our restaurants open. And if they're planning on reopening our state, that they better get down here and start vaccinating the people who live here. Or, maybe the town should consider withholding the sales tax. That's all I have to say about it. Justina?
I'd like to provide a ringing endorsement to Chair DeBasto's statement. When COVID first hit, it was confusing for the Board of Selectmen as well as everyone, and our brave town department heads who showed grace under pressure to figure out what town policies would best protect our town. And the select board, I'm going to say it, came under great pressure to fall in line with the governor's directives. And I think that turned out to be a good thing, but I'm going to endorse what Mike DeBasto said. We've got to keep our population safe. If we can't get the vaccine, we have the right as a select board to take that under consideration to protect our voters.
Helen?
You're on mute, Helen.
I was shocked to learn that the people in the marketplace and other people in similar places that are frontline workers were not vaccinated in phase 1. I have friends who are therapists who do everything virtually, and they got vaccinated in phase 1. And meanwhile, the people in the grocery stores and the few stores like hardware stores and so forth that get a lot of face-to-face in smaller areas, aisles and so forth, were not vaccinated immediately. And I think that we should somehow weigh in about this, especially with summer coming on. Thank you.
Hillary, do you still have your hand up or no?
Yes, I do. I was going to say, I did have a meeting this afternoon at 1:30, and we do get a representative from Mass DPH at those meetings. And myself and the Eastham health agent did push a little more forcefully than usual on the state's allocation plan, because it's obvious that there's a need on Cape Cod, not just in Wellfleet or Eastham. They advertised 2 more clinics at Barnstable County, and they both sold out in a half an hour, and we're still putting thousands of doses at Gillette Stadium. So we have asked for more detailed information to understand that our message is being heard, because we get back, yeah, they hear you, but there's no real concrete answers that are coming back. So we did push harder today and suggested that they have a look at their allocation plan and perhaps allocate more vaccine temporarily to the Cape and cut down at Gillette, because the equity and equality is not being met, because we do have the oldest residents in the Commonwealth on Cape Cod. So hopefully we will get more information back at our meeting next week that I can report to you on. So we're trying hard, but it's falling on deaf ears.
My understanding is that the state has no plans to actually put a mass vaccination site on Cape Cod. And, you know, it seems to me that having, that the state also does not have plans to restrict people from traveling to Cape Cod from states that have completely abandoned all masking requirements. And we know there's issues with variants that we really don't have much control over that spread. And there's not even a lot of studies about how much the variants are around. And so if the state doesn't put a mass vaccination clinic on Cape Cod or ramp up vaccine, I don't understand how they can expect Cape Cod to host hundreds of thousands of people per week. It just doesn't make sense. We here, with the most elderly population in Massachusetts, in a few months, we'll be hosting people from all over the country. And regardless of their sort of quarantine requirements, we've seen that those have not been followed in a lot of cases. There's not enforcement of that. And so I suggest to the state that Cape Cod's a little bit different than central Massachusetts in that people come through here. And pretty soon we're going to have a lot of people coming through here. So just on the record, you know, I'd like to say that I'm not happy about it. And it seems pretty clear that this board's not happy about what's going on. So and maybe we should write a letter also. I don't know how the board feels about that. I would be happy to draft one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sign a letter. I don't think the state's going to respond, unfortunately. I mean, that's how it is.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, we could write a letter, but I know they've gotten a lot of letters, and they have said, whoever they are, that everyone will be vaccinated by May, which is 2.5 months away. So, you know, I certainly support it. I also want to know what we're going to do when all the people start coming in, and how do we know if they're vaccinated? So that'll be our next meeting.
yeah. Okay. Helen and then Justina, and then we'll move off of this topic.
Yeah.
Yes, through you, Mike, to Hillary. Hillary, how many people on our staff, particularly the staff that is in a lot more face-to-face touch with the public as it comes in, the summer hordes, for example, the shellfish department, on occasion, the rescue department, but the shellfish department and the people at the marina, the staff at the marina have, particularly in July and August, or whenever there's a hurricane or whatever, huge amounts of contact face to face. And do you have any sense of the numbers in our staff and our town employees that have been vaccinated? I understand it's a personal choice, but do you have any sense of that? That's my first question. The second question is, has anybody in these meetings that you go to brought up what I just brought up about our frontline workers that get the full brunt of our summer visitors, like people in a grocery store?
So
Thank
yes,
you.
we through Mike, yes, we do talk about those folks a lot. We know police, fire, first responders, harbor masters were included in the first responder clinics. Shellfish doesn't come until agriculture, which comes with grocery store workers. So grocery store workers and agriculture come in the next phase, which we're not at yet. But harbor masters fell into first responders.
We still haven't got everyone 75 and over.
No, nope.
We haven't even completed phase 1. Go ahead, Justina.
There's more the select board can do than a letter. We could start with the community forum. And I'll just stop by
Yes.
saying, low numbers are good for business. Wellfleet's brand as a safe community was good for its real estate market, for its all kinds of things. We had a good business season last year, and it's good for our branding if you want to look at it from that point of view. So I think there's a lot we can do, and I guess in 2020 hindsight, we should have had a forum last year, and I think that might be a good place to start to hear from the community. And I think we have the right to try to keep our community safe. That seems pretty basic to me.
Okay. Now I'd like to move off this and on to public hearings. So here we are, discuss and vote on new fee schedule at Wellfleet Marina. Will Sullivan, our new harbor master, is on the line. Will?
Hey, how's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Well,
Good. So as you all know, the marina needs a lot of work. And we're doing all right, but we need to do a little better. We need to do a little better to make a little more money. One of the ways our fees haven't gone up, I think Mike said the last time they went up was about 2013. That was a slight increase. So we really need to look at them. So I went to the Marina Advisory Committee. We talked about them. We worked through it. We came up with a compromise, which we thought was fairly easy going for everyone. A 3-year plan, make it a little more efficient. Everyone can count on it, expect it. That would start with a 3% increase on our fees. It's not a lot of money, but that's a bunch of new docks. That's some payments on some things. That's some new stuff. The second year, we'd move up to a 5%. And then the third year, we'd move up to a 7%. Now that 3%, what I've suggested in that was that, as you can see, I kind of rearranged the fee schedule too to make it a little easier to read. It got pretty confusing in the past with the add-ons over the years, and it wasn't really updated. And I kind of think from what I saw that it was a little easier to read now. And if you look, what I didn't do was raise the fees on the commercial for this year, the commercial sections. They are running a business. Yes, their business was hit very hard last year. But I believe with the business, they would need a little more preparation for a different payment. So that would give them until next year where they could plan in their businesses for an increase in the fee schedule. So they would jump in next year. They wouldn't get the 3% this year, but they would jump in next year with the 5%. our fees are significantly lower than every other marina around. I know, not including the private spots in P-Town and all the other business that's going on up there. We were significantly lower than everyone anyway, before all that. Even every one of our neighbors. I know there's a couple older slips at Rock Harbor. They're responsible for themselves. That have been argued in the past, but we need to get them up a little bit, and we don't want to hurt people with it. We don't want to turn anyone off. We don't want to give anyone a sour taste, but we need more money to make the repairs. So this is our compromise with the Marina Advisory, and that's how we'd like to start.
Okay, Helen.
Yes, the good news is that the Marina Advisory Committee voted to support this, and what good planning, particularly with the pandemic. The fees were looked at least, and some of them were raised since Mike DeVasto got on the board, because I remember a whole discussion about, some part of them was raised. I remember a whole discussion about commercial boats and so forth. So it was more recent, probably. Will, not that you got the information from Mike, so I'm not faulting you, but that doesn't matter. They do need to go up, and I appreciate what you've done spreading it out over 3 years. Thank you.
No problem.
I believe that was winter fees, Helen. That was
through you, Mike, to Helen. Those were winter fees that I didn't touch in any of the schedules. Those seem to be working out really well for the commercial guys. We've gotten positive feedback. I know it's a fee, so that's as positive as a fee could be, but we didn't touch them, and those were kind of, I know they were introduced, but they're also kind of straightened out those years, so I didn't really include them in that. And they're not included in any kind of fee increase, because that's not really what we're aiming for here.
Justina.
You're on mute.
Mute, Justina.
Sorry about that. I thought this was a fine piece of work. I was glad you were able to get some assistance with Marine Advisory. It was thorough. It was laid out well, and I'm prepared to support it.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion? I don't see anybody's hand up, and
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have any problem with these. They seem sensible. They're not too high. It's a modest fee increase, and I'm in support of it.
Okay, I move to approve the Wellfleet Marina's updated fee schedule as listed in the Select Board packet dated March 4th, 2021.
Can I get a roll call?
Helen, second.
Okay, a second. Can I have a roll call vote?
Janet, aye.
Justina, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Helen, aye.
Okay, Helen. Are you there?
She's
I
fallen.
have to step away to get a stapler. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So now we have board and committee appointment and updates. The first item is disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest. I believe is it an appearance of conflict of interest or an actual conflict of interest?
It could be an actual.
Helen?
Mike, I got to cut in here. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I've had the privilege of working with all. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I've had the privilege of working with Olga and two other, and Elaine McElroy and Sharon Rule-Ager in a very delineated by the Ethics Commission function to help draft a new bylaw. And there are a lot of do's and don'ts for me. And in this case, I'm going to recuse from any discussion of Olga's request, her disclosure agenda item. So I'm recusing right now. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Olga knows.
Do you want me to speak, or are you?
Yes, go ahead, Olga.
Well, I delivered a Section 19 disclosure of financial interest in that I own an AADU and I make about $14,000 a year from the AADU. I've also had 16 years of experience with an AADU, and I have housing experience, and I would like to work as a planning board member or as a citizen on drafting a bylaw so we can have accessory dwelling units, not necessarily affordable. So I'm asking a ruling, I guess, from the select board to say that I'm not doing this for my own good. And in fact, I would say about at least half the houses in Wellfleet may have this opportunity. So I'm not sure it's special to me, but the ethics attorney of the day suggested that I file this in any case.
Yeah, I think you're right because of the number of properties that this would be available to, and that it wouldn't have any impact necessarily. Well, that's hard to say whether it would have an impact on the AADU, but I think this falls under the percentage allowance, similar to how we can vote on tax increases, even though it affects our own taxes because it affects enough percentage of the town's population. So I believe that that's okay. That said, anytime something comes up that may or may not be a conflict of interest, you should do what you have done, which is reach out to the lawyer of the day. And then, they will not tell you have to recuse, but they'll advise you to recuse if they think so. And it's always your choice whether to recuse or not. But the consequences of not recusing when you do have a conflict of interest, there can be consequences to that. So I just want to put that out there, that everyone should consult with the ethics board on these issues when they come up, at the time they come up, to just make sure that they're in the clear. Janet?
So I'm kind of going to, I won't repeat what you just said, but I agree with what Michael said. And Olga, you've been working on this long enough to know that you're doing a good job, and sooner or later we won't have to be discussing this because we'll have so many units. But you know what to be careful of and when to be careful, and just make sure you are, that when it comes to a financial interference, you just recuse yourself. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought maybe the select board had to agree that don't have a conflict of interest, but I'll just be careful about what I do.
Well, what we usually do is that we would basically say that that it's unlikely to affect your actions as a member of the planning board, right? So it's really like whether or not you can serve on the planning board, whether your conflict of interest or your financial interest is not significant enough to be a concern. So we have a motion here, and we can make that motion and vote on it. Can I have the motion?
I would like a chance to.
Sure, go ahead, Ryan. I didn't see your hand up.
And Justina has hers up too.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, my screen was slid over the right.
Olga, the ADU bylaw that you're working on, is that as planning board?
Well, I just removed myself from the group working on it because I originally said to the planning board, let me draft something. I did that, and then it took off. I mean, I was working on drafts that were done by Sharon Rule-Ager and Elaine McElroy and other people, but I did my own thing with it, and then I realized I should step back. So I'm willing to continue, but I haven't been lately.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that the group of people who are working on the ADU bylaw, because the planning board's decided not to pursue it, are private citizens and not a town body.
Correct.
Yeah. So then there's no conflict of interest whatsoever in that case, because it's as a private citizen and not as a member of a town body.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, this is really just whether about serving on the planning board. I think as far as our motion goes,
Okay.
if it comes before you on the planning board, which it will, you will be able to vote as even citizen petitions. If it does come in front of the planning board as a citizen petition, to recommend or not recommend,
Okay.
then that's when you would have to determine whether you could vote on it or not. But that's your choice, really. That's not up to us whether you vote on that. That's between you and the ethics lawyer, and we're not here to give legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
But Justina, go ahead.
Yeah, just really quickly, I know Olga Khan to be of high character, and her drive to bring order to the issue, because 3 years ago when I first got on the board, she began to ask me all kinds of questions about the topic that I couldn't answer. So I know her to be in relentless pursuit of the truth, not necessarily her own truth, but for the town. So I'm in favor of approving and endorsing her continued involvement.
Okay. Can we have a motion?
I move that the Select Board has determined that the financial interest of Olga Khan is not so substantial as to be deemed likely to affect the integrity of the services which the town may expect from her as a member of the Wellfleet Planning Board. This disclosure is dated February 19th, 2021.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Janet, aye.
Justina, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye. Helen, are you there?
I'm recused, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm recused.
Helen recused. Okay. The motion carries 4-0 with one abstain.
Thank you.
No, recused. Not abstained. Really?
Okay, Helen.
I'm back.
Okay, good. According to ethics, recused and abstained is the same to them. So, whatever. Okay, thanks, Olga.
I know.
Okay, appointment of Al Mueller to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is Al on here?
He is.
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hi, Al.
Hi.
How you doing?
Very good. Thanks. It's kind of amazing watching you guys. It's fabulous. What a well-run little town.
Thanks.
Stick around for a little while.
Oh, wait.
Just wait.
Once we get past the third hour, it falls apart. Okay. So usually when we have someone come up before us for an application for a board or committee, we usually have them sort of tell the town a little bit, and the audience and the board a little bit about themselves, why they want to do it, what their experiences are. We see the application, but it's nice to hear it from the applicant. So.
Okay, well, just briefly, from a biographical standpoint, I'm a native Californian, but my wife and I have been vacationing in Wellfleet since the mid-'80s. We built our house here in 2000, and I've been living permanently here with my wife full-time since 2012, after 32 years of federal government service. So a couple of weeks ago, Will Sullivan, who is a member of the zoning board, approached me and said, it might be nice to, have you on the board. There are some vacancies. I love this town. I believe in good citizenship, and that's basically why I chose to put in an application. I don't have any particular expertise in zoning, although having lived here for several years, I'm familiar with some of the issues.
Okay. Let me just, I lost my hand here. Okay, Ryan.
What did you work for with the federal government?
I worked for 32 years overseas, mainly for the CIA.
Okay. Well, I'm not telling you anything.
Okay.
I will find you.
Helen?
I have no prejudice against the CIA. 2 members of my family have been in it. Actually, more than that, unfortunately. Mr. Miller.
Yes.
So have you been to any zoning board of appeal meetings?
I have not, although I have been invited by Sharon Inger to attend this Thursday's meeting via Zoom. I haven't up to now, no.
Thank you so much for applying. Having been a ZBA member and other things that I won't bore everybody with right now, I recommend, not as a requirement, but you might enjoy, first of all, reading through the zoning bylaws, our zoning bylaws, and then looking at a couple of recorded meetings just prior to this appointment, okay?
Okay.
And the things that I always throw out there, yeah, I mean, it'll just make it easier and more fun for you. Fun, I don't know. Anyway, the other thing is you can't miss 4 meetings in a row. You can't miss 4 meetings in a row. If you do, you're automatically off. So try to show up. It's important. And you're going to be taking the open meeting law training and the ethics commission training. And they're both great laws that if they're adhered to, make this country a whole lot better. And you're going to be what's called an associate or alternate member.
Yes. I might also add, in terms
Which
of
means
the ethics briefings that you have discussed, I'm a member of the Cultural Commission right now, the Town Cultural Commission. So I have taken some of this training.
Okay. Yeah, the conflict of interest law stuff. Okay. So this is for an alternate position. I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I always think it's good when people haven't really been to the meetings that when they first get on there, that they're alternates and then can sort of like get to know the bylaws and how the zoning board of appeals functions before they're full members. So, can I have a motion? Or Justina has her hand up. Go ahead, Justina.
Yeah, just quickly, this may sound dumb, and I'm sure you've thought of this. You like to read maps and plot plans and discuss law rules as they apply to property lines and all that kind of thing?
I spent a good deal of my career reading maps.
Okay, because I can't read a map very well, so.
Oh, I can totally read a map well.
You know what you're in for. Good, okay. That base is covered.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so can I have a motion? And let's make sure that it says as a alternate member, I think we need to say, Helen.
I move to approve the appointment of Al Mueller to the as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Helen, second.
Roll call vote, please.
Janet, aye.
Justina, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Helen, aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Next item of business here. Actually, we have to move this one, so we're going to take no action on this. Elizabeth's not here, and she's postponing her application until May. So we're on to business. 2021 annual town meeting article bond issuance. Maria?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, everyone. So this approval is for the bonds for the projects that were approved at town meeting this last spring, but I guess it was fall. And I think Miriam may be on here if you have.
Yep. Okay. Rebecca, can you put the full screen on?
What do you mean by the full screen? You want to see everybody?
Yeah, please. That'd be great.
Okay.
And excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Lynn Welsh, who represents us through the bond sale is also here. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
Hi.
Lynn, Mr. Chair, Lynn is our financial advisor, and she's saved my neck more than once. So I have a respect for her, and she keeps me moving forward and keeps me on an even keel. So
Okay.
I'm pleased that she was able to participate tonight.
So if you don't mind, I thought I'd just give the board a little update because it's something probably, obviously, you don't hear about very often from the financial advisor when you voted your capital projects at town meeting and kind of the work that has to go behind the scenes from your finance team to get these projects funded and out in the market. And before I kind of give you a brief overview, I do want to thank Miriam, who's been a total rock with all the transitions that have happened in town on various levels. She's really stepped up to the plate. It has been such a pleasure to work with. Quick learning curve through all this stuff. Also to Maria, who did a great job on our rating call, and Heather, who is brand new, that had to jump into all kinds of things and had to address your rating agency questions and did them with such professionalism and confidence that the Standard & Poor's came out and reconfirmed the town of Wellfleet's AAA bond rating. So that was kudos to the crew, and it was kind of fun to be on the call with the analyst that knew Maria from her days in Annapolis. So you talk about a small world. It was kind of interesting that they had that link.
It was interesting how important environmental issues are to the bond rating agencies. I found that refreshing. So that was good news.
Yeah, particularly on Cape Cod, as we all know, very sensitive. I live here as well. So, it's a big thing with the rating agencies in the Cape and Islands on climate change and erosion and what we're doing here in this little small peninsula on this side of the world to address those issues. They were very intrigued with, obviously, the dredging project was a big part of this issuance. And, what that means to the Wellfleet Marina, what it means to your business there, having that access to the waterways is so important. So I just want to give kind of an very brief overview. We went out to market on March 1st with the bonds, with 9.2 million approximately par amount of bonds. The town received 7 bids from syndicate firms. The winning bidder was Piper Sandler, who had a true interest cost to the town of a 1.53%. These are 20-year bonds, so I think that's quite impressive and really shows how low the interest rate market is, and we were able to get these bonds in the market in a timely manner. What ended up happening is with that bid, Piper Sandler offered the town basically an $882,000 plus premium, which is a cash payment to the town in addition to the 9.2 million. We were able to go back into the system and resize the bonds from 9.2 with that premium down to 8.5 million. So basically what that means to the taxpayers is as opposed to paying debt service on 9.2 million, you're now paying debt service on 8.5. So that's basically $720,000 we were able to reduce because of that premium. So I would engage any other questions that you have for me before there is a vote in front of you. It's rather lengthy. If you want to summarize it, I can do a summary for you, or if there's somebody that would rather read the total language into the meeting minutes, that's your prerogative. But if there's anything else, I can answer for you how the process works, how the town is reflected in the rating agency world. I'd be more than happy to answer those questions.
Yeah, I don't see the need to read this into the record because it's in our packets and we can just vote as provided in the packet.
Okay.
So the select board has had an opportunity to read this as it's been in our packets since it was posted. So I think if you want to give a brief summary, I guess, for the audience at home, I guess, just so people know.
Okay, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the board votes that the sale of 8,500,000 general obligation bonds of 2021 of the town of Wellfleet, dated March 15th, 2021, to Piper Sandler and Company at the price of $9,314,054.23 is hereby approved and confirmed, of which the full text of the vote will be incorporated in the select board meeting minutes.
Okay, great. And the important thing for everyone to realize is that we've received an amazing interest rate on these bonds to fund our projects. And that will kind of carry into our next topic here after this is done. Helen, you have your hand up?
Yeah, the last words there, I'm sure Rebecca heard, but the full text of what was just read should go into the minutes. Thank you.
Ryan?
Yeah, when will the premium that the town receive be reflected in the tax rate?
The next payment would be, you'll see an FY22.
Yep.
Okay, you will get, if you can just give me 1 second to bring up the debt service schedule on this.
So it'd be next fiscal year?
It'll be it'll be FY22. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just get to your, I'm just getting to your debt service here. So in with all projects, all in, the total principal and interest on the bonds will be $753,600. And so just so you know, if you remember, that includes the 7.5 million for the dredging project that was approved at the April 2019 meeting, as well as the September 2020 borrowing authorizations. Okay. And just so you know, and that includes the Lieutenant Island roads, the fire suppression study, EMS equipment, the forestry equipment, and the water upgrades that were voted in September of 2020.
And could the town expect a similar rate for this year's borrowing articles?
I have not seen what your borrowing articles are yet. Again, it's, I mean, as you all know, we're in a very low rate environment. And I can tell you, even since we've sold on March 1st, the bond yields have gone up. Stocks and bonds work in opposite directions. So when we kind of see the equity market and stocks going up, that means that we don't have a lot of takers in the bond market. Everybody's going to the stocks. So that's what's kind of happening right now. Who's to say where we are going to be when the next round of bonding is going to take place? But I wish I had that crystal ball.
So if there's large borrowing articles potentially on the horizon, mm-hmm. It would be smarter to do them this year rather than the following year, more than likely, right?
Well, I think, there's a couple of things you have to consider is the expenditure of bond proceeds. There's one thing that the IRS does not like is that you go out in the market and you bond, but you don't expend the proceeds, and they basically sit in an account and earn interest. The IRS and Uncle Sam wants you to spend that money, so there's spending provisions that we have to look at. But if there are projects that are going to be voted and you're going to get them underway and the proceeds will be spent fairly quickly, then yeah, we could go in the market and try to capture it while it's still attractive.
Okay.
Yeah. So did this rate get locked in like previous to like a week or two ago or something?
We went for a competitive sale on March 1st. And like I said, we had 7 syndicates, which is a fairly decent amount of interest in bidding on the bonds. The Cape usually sells very good. Wellfleet always sells very good in the market. So you are locked in, but you have the ability to call those bonds. There's an 8-year call. But chances are, because there's very low coupons after 8 years, I think this coupon dips down to 2%. It would be highly unlikely, never say never, but highly unlikely would ever be able to call these bonds because you do have to show a present value savings. And interest rates would have to be almost in a negative to be able to refund 2% bonds.
Okay, yeah, it seems timely because I know bond yields jumped like a few days after.
They're done. If you've looked at the 10 to 30 year long yield curve, yes, they're following the treasuries. So we've seen some 30 to 40 basis points increase out on the yield curve. Yep.
Since it locked in, yeah?
You're locked in, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have a motion and vote on this.
I move to approve the 2021 bond issued votes as provided in the Select Board packet dated March 9th, 2021.
Second.
A roll call vote, please.
Janet, aye.
Tina, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Helen, aye.
Yeah, motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to see you, Heather. Miriam.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I put this on here. We've already had the discussion. This is a select board to decide whether to recommend or not recommend the school renovation project. We've already had someone come in and speak, but considering we have this would be typically something that would be on our town warrant, and we would vote to recommend or not recommend for it to go to town meeting. And some boards and finance committees have voted already. I thought this would be a good opportunity for the select board to weigh in on this before the vote. And that's why I put it on here. I think the board is well versed in the issue, so I didn't include anything in the packet. I think everybody kind of knows where they stand at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, I'd like to just, if we can go through each board member one time and just have a statement and then take a vote, I would appreciate that. So it looks like Helen's hand is up first. So go ahead, Helen.
Yeah, I'm pretty saturated in information. I just want to know, maybe for Maria, what, if anything, has the FinCom recommended? Through you, Mike, to Maria.
Sure. The FinCom has that on their agenda for Wednesday, I believe. Tomorrow.
Okay.
Can I actually give you a little insight? They do have it on their agenda, but they voted last year before COVID, when this whole project was brought before them, to approve it. There's a few members now that would like to change their vote, but I don't know that they're going to re-vote it. They're going to discuss it just to kind of get it on the table. I don't know that they'll do a re-vote for the project itself.
Thank you.
Okay, Janet?
So I am completely for this project. Education, there's nothing better than education. So I'm ready to recommend approval of the Knox School renovation project.
Justina?
I agree with what Janet said. And as a member of the first class when the school opened, I know firsthand how old the school is now. There's few better uses of our tax dollars than to educate our young. We have the school is top rated, and I support the project with the bottom of my heart.
Okay, Ryan?
I do recommend the project. It's unfortunate that it's not going before town meeting, but it is what it is. My grandmother was actually on the select board when the most recent reconstruction of the school was done. I believe she was on the building committee for it as well. I do recommend going forward with the reconstruction.
Okay, and I will just say that fiscally, that this is that this project actually, it makes more sense to do this project at this scale than any other option that's been presented. And the reason I say that is because we have $36.6 million of state funding through a grant to fund this specific project. That $36 million is on the line in this vote. It's taken years to put this project together and bring it forward and get it to this point. A no vote on this project would eliminate that grant. Now, the town would, the school board, the school committee could reapply under a different project, but no project has ever been funded after a failed vote. And so what you have here is a situation where we have historically low interest rates to bond this project. We have $36 million from the state and a chance to have a state-of-the-art renovation of our school begin as quickly as possible. The other issue that the school has, if this were to be voted down, is that the school has tens of millions of dollars in deferred maintenance that would have to be dealt with in order to even maintain operations. So, the years that this could go back and not knowing what our bond yield would be, the unlikelihood that we would be able to receive that $36 million again, we could wind up, even if we were to put a smaller school up as a project, as the opponents of this project have suggested, we could wind up paying quite a bit more, substantially more for that project than we're paying for this current project. And the vote is really not whether or not we have school choice students coming to our school. That's not the vote. The vote is whether we are going to renovate the school at its current capacity of students. There's been a lot of noise about school choice students and also the fact that Truro and Provincetown don't pay for the construction of the school. Those two towns are on a negotiated 5-year contract. That contract will be up. Presumably, the rates to attend Nauset will rise at that point, but they can contract anywhere. So they pay more than the school choice students, 4 times as much. But what we get at Nauset is a school system that ranks, I think, in the top, I think it's the 26th in the state as far as education. So it's money well spent. You can't get better rates than we have right now. And, you know, turning this down is really saying no to a $36 million grant, which I don't think that the taxpayers in the district can afford to do. So that's all I have to say about it. And I'm ready to take a vote.
Okay. Do we need an emotion or just say, yes, we're for it?
I think let's make a motion. I move to recommend the Nauset School renovation project as currently proposed.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Janet, aye.
Christina, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Ellen, aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. The motion carries 5-0 to recommend the project. Okay, thank you. And on to the next item, we have the Herring River Restoration and High Toss Road approved article.
Some results from a search.
I think Maria and is Carol Redley here?
She is.
Okay.
So this is, and I'm going to toss it over to Carol, who's been doing the heavy lifting on this. So this is another one of the steps along the way to getting the Herring River Restoration Project through permitting and funding. So with that, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll let Carol explain more what this was about.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, Maria. And good evening, everyone. Carol Ridley, coordinator for the Herring River Restoration Project. And just for the record, I am not an attorney. I see that I am listed as one on the agenda this evening, but I am not. So this article may look familiar to you. It was on the town meeting warrant last spring with the select board's support at that time. This article was prepared by the town. I believe it may have been prepared by town council at the request, frankly, of the project team for this reason. High Toss Road is a project element within the Herring River Restoration Project. A portion of High Toss Road that crosses the marsh will be removed, and a segment of the road from roughly Way 672 to Hopkins Drive will be elevated. And so as we began looking at funding opportunities, some of the funding agencies we were speaking with pointed out that, you know, as with any project element, we would need to be sure we could demonstrate ownership of the facility. Now, High Toss Road has long been considered and treated by the town, and then I see the folks from DPW are here on the meeting this evening, has been treated and is understood to be a town road. Town council was asked, your town council was asked to take a look at this matter and research the ownership of High Toss Road, and found, in fact, there were a couple of, segments of the roadway where the town's ownership was not, the records of the towns accepting the road was not found in the town records. And so I believe out of an abundance of caution, council recommended the article to, make it crystal clear that the entire segment of the roadway is in the town's control for the purposes of the work proposed for the Herring River Restoration Project. Now, this, as I stated, was on the town meeting warrant last spring, but just before the meeting, your town council had advised that certain steps the town was to take for this type of action to notify abutters had not been taken. And so it was recommended that the article be deferred. And from the project's perspective, that was not a hardship, as long as it could be taken up the following year, which is this current year. So we are hopeful that the article can be placed on the warrant for the upcoming town meeting, hopefully with your blessing. And that's, I'll just leave it there and be happy to answer any questions.
I'm familiar with this. Ryan, I don't think you were on the board when this first came up. Go ahead, Ryan.
Are adequate steps being taken is it town administration to notify the abutters?
We are looking to confirm with KP Law exactly what requirements are, and, we shall.
And do you have a good understanding of where, what location or what parts of the road might be subject to that?
I think Carol probably does. I don't specifically, not at this point, no.
Okay.
But, those were discussions that were had before. We were looking today to try and find the historic emails before I was on board, and couldn't find them. So we'll go back to KP Law and, recreate that message.
Okay. And so, yeah, I don't know. Should we place it before that process has been conducted?
At this point, the only thing you're doing is basically giving us the go ahead to set that process in motion.
Okay.
We wouldn't, this is sort of the first step. It wouldn't make sense for us to do notifications of abutters and then you didn't approve it going on the town meeting warrant.
So are you asking us to place it tonight, or are you asking to be authorized to contact the abutters? Because, yeah.
No, I think we are actively seeking the funding right now. We've had conversations with the federal delegation last week, and some folks that advises us on how to better craft our message asking for the federal funding. We want to be able to say that we process along with gusto to make sure that there are no sort of details that are still up in the air. Maybe Carol can speak to that better than I can.
So you would like us to place it tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Do we want to do a placement and a recommendation, or just a placement?
Just a placement.
Okay. So I think that clears that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Helen?
Weird. Break dance.
Yes. What is going on? Am I normal?
Not really.
No.
Was that a
want us to really answer that?
Question.
Are any of us normal, Helen?
Okay. If I'm on this board, I'm not normal. I fit right in. Okay. So Ryan, the abutters know way more about this than they know about most of their families. And that is part of the process. You're right. But the thing is that this has been vetted very carefully. And there are lots of maps. I can even send you some. And site visits have even been done. And I frankly would be ready to recommend it because this was a glitch. We did all this last year before you were on the board, very carefully. I just don't want it to, for want of a better legal term, mess up again. So if there are any any deadlines that have to be met, let's be very careful about it. And Carol, I beg you, even though it may not be in your job description, to give some attention to what we're doing with Maria. Maria, you're good, but you're just here since the beginning of August. So please, let's not mess it up again. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind having a vote to recommend. Also, it's just one less thing we have to do later in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question. I'm sorry to be in the slow lane here, but how can we approach abutters to secure title? Maybe that's not why we're approaching them when the town hasn't voted on the article. I mean, in what capacity are we approaching abutters? What are we saying to these abutters? Yes, thank you, Carol.
Carol.
Yes, so we have been in contact with property owners along that roadway to, confer with them about the portions of their property that are shown on plans that will be included in permit applications, and to, discuss with them any permissions we need from them in order to describe the work on their property in our permit applications.
Mm-hmm.
So as I think Helen mentioned, there have been those kinds of discussions. They haven't been related to this article. They've been related to just the standard work we're doing with the abutters to the project, making sure they understand what's going on, how, if at all, it affects their property, and getting any necessary permissions we need from them to include the work in the permit applications.
Chair DeBasto, through you to Carol, but isn't this changing gears to have a discussion about obtaining title? Or help me out.
We're not obtaining title on this. What we're doing is accepting it as a town, as a town way, which it's historically been used for. I think the question came about as far as ownership, where there was some thought that maybe the National Seashore owned the road, and some thought that the town owned the road, or that the road went into the National Seashore or out, in and out of the National Seashore. The National Seashore has said, we don't own the road. So then it was presumed to be fully a town road, but then in the public record, it was never accepted by the town as a public road. So it's been used, even if anything came or somebody tried to claim the road, there's no record of ownership of the road, and the sort of prescriptive use of the road would put it as a town road anyways, the years of maintenance. So this isn't about gaining title to the road. The town already maintains and owns the road. This is about accepting it into the record, I guess. The record, is that the right word, Carol?
I think that's a good description. I think that, the other factor is that we have, to the extent, this really is an easement situation. And, so it's, I don't think it will be, I don't think it will come as a huge surprise to people. Let me just put it that way. It's not really, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much, Michael and Carol.
Okay. Helen?
Yeah, Justina, and I can send it to any of you. It's a back and forth process for a town to accept a way. It's in Mass General Law. I'll send you a copy of it.
Thank
in
you,
other
Helen.
words, yeah, it's there are quite a lot of roads in Wellfleet that are like this, but in this case, the crude thing that I've got in my mind is, in order for us to get money, we have to do this. And what we're going to do is on the road pretty much as it exists. And Carol, they're just tiny snippets, maybe, of a butter's land. Basically, it's not, that subdivision goes down to the edge of the road pretty much all along there. But, you'd have to see the maps. I'm going to send the maps and the process. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good.
We have a vote?
You're welcome.
Should we make two separate votes or one vote? Does anybody want to place and not recommend or something like that?
Well, I think, how about we'll start with, I move to have High Toss Road accepted for the Herring River Restoration Project, and then to place it on the town warrant. No, Helen says no.
Forgive me, Janet, it has to be that, it has to be the section of High Toss Road. It's not the whole thing.
You're right.
So if we could get the language from Carol, that would be good right now. And why don't we just do both recommend and,
It says Article 30, High Toss Road. I mean, is that not enough to read into the?
No, because it may not be Article 30. This is from last year.
Yeah, you're right.
Just place it and recommend it if that's what everybody wants to do, which I do.
Well, we do, but you're saying it's got to be more specific than High Toss Road.
Yeah, so Carol, what is this?
Duck Harbor,
What-
okay.
From Hopkins Drive to where, whatever it calls itself?
Right. So it says Pole Dyke Road and Duck Harbor Road.
Carol's trying to.
Hold on, Carol's got her hand up. I think we can just vote as printed in our packet.
Well, that's what I'm reading from.
No, it's, can we just, Carol?
Go ahead, Carol.
May I, just to clarify a couple of things. So I think for the purposes this evening, we really just need or request the vote to place the article on the warrant. You know, referring to it as in the packet seems reasonable. But I just want to clarify the article refers to to High Toss Road from Duck Harbor Road to Pole Dyke Road. So it's the entire segment of High Toss Road that's treated in the article.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to place on the warrant the article to accept High Toss Road as printed in our select board packet.
Second.
Okay, can I have a roll call vote?
Janet, I.
Christina, I.
Brian, I.
Michael, I.
Helen, I.
Okay, the motion carries 5-0. And do we have a motion to recommend?
Yeah, I move that we recommend, the acceptance of High Toss Road to Duck Harbor Road by the town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Janet, I.
Justina, I.
Brian, I.
Michael, I.
Helen, I.
Okay, motion carries 5-0 to recommend. Okay, thank you. All right. Now we have spring tax insert.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol.
Good night.
Spring tax insert. Let's see. Over here. Is it Mia on here?
Yes, she is.
Am. Hi.
Hi, Mia.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm well.
Okay. So the tax insert.
It's totally straightforward. It's the exact same announcement that I read at the meeting a couple of months ago. It's just letting people know that they may be newly eligible for Comcast coverage based on the density reduction. Comcast is not interested in actually giving us their maps. I've talked to them and they want me to bring them individual addresses and then they will look into it and get back to me. They also wouldn't start until the agreement was officially signed. So this is a new opportunity for us. And I thought the tax insert would be one good way to start actually getting people to ask me, because if they don't have cable, there's a chance they haven't accessed this information online. So it literally says you may be eligible. If you have any questions, please email me, Mia Baumgarten at wellfleetma.gov, and I'll check into it for you.
Okay, and do we have room in our tax inserts? There's only a certain amount of space, I think,
right,
that we have to allocate. I don't know.
I'm going to check with Karen, Chair, tomorrow, because she's the one that would be able to tell us whether or not it can go in.
Okay.
Depending on the weight for postage and all that.
Yeah, it's something to do with that. I don't know. Maybe we can make it really like a little note.
I can make it super short.
Sticky note or something. Ryan's got his hand up. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is to make something that, or to have it be a little bit more visually arresting, so that people, respond to it better.
Well, I can make it super arresting. Again, it's how much space am I allowed to have?
Yep.
I'll go nuts with it. Just let me know.
Yeah, I totally understand that because I just want as many people as we can to
absolutely. That's one of the best ways to do it is to get this out. So as long as Karen says I have space, we'll do it.
Hey, Janet?
So I had the concern too about how much we've already approved to go into as a tax insert. I don't know if anyone remembers, but it should be like a third of the page, right? It's not going to be a whole page. And we do front and back. And I know we've done approved two already. So I think we can get 2 inserts, which is really 4 inserts, one on the front, one on the back of 2 different ones.
Yeah. Can I make a suggestion that we approve this so long as there's space?
Yes.
In the tax? Because I think it's important.
It is. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. To make it as succinct and as visually arresting as.
Can we put that in the motion? Then I'll have Ryan make the motion. Okay, Justina, and then Helen, and then let's vote.
Yeah, I would just want it not to bump any taxation relief, food relief, any other relief program, because it is limited space.
We'll make the motion if there's room right now. We won't bump anything.
Okay. Well, just those 3 categories bumped.
Yeah. Okay, Helen, Janet, do you have your hand up still?
No, I'm lowering it now. There we go.
Helen, go ahead, and then let's.
Yeah, I'm all for this, but if it turns out we're full up, and I actually think we are, but let's think of another place to advertise it in this spectacular way. Thank you.
So I think one of them I would pull in favor of this, but that might start off a civil war.
Well, and we've already voted on it.
Yep.
So this is what I would suggest, because this is really important. This is a great way to do this. I would suggest, and it'll drive whoever does all the mailing crazy, is that we actually pay the extra postage. But we don't have to vote on that. But keep it in mind that this may well be worth it, because it's really important.
Yeah. Maybe we can just I don't know, get some really lightweight vellum or something.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I thought it was only certain areas of the town that are affected by lack of Comcast
it is.
service. You might want a targeted mailing instead.
That's what
last.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit tricky, because you're right. It's primarily just certain areas, but there may be like a house here and there which is suddenly newly eligible because it goes by the density amount. So if you're somewhere where the density used to be 25 and now it's 15, and you were like the 2 houses on the block who weren't eligible and now you are, there may be people outside of those uncovered areas who are eligible. But because we don't have the maps, I can't go through and check for myself.
It's important to remember that this isn't just television. This is broadband internet too. And to not have broadband internet during this COVID time and be relying on cellular signals and satellites and stuff, it's not ideal. So it is important. It's not just TV,
Good point.
Hey, guys, why don't we put it on the website in the middle of the homepage?
Yeah, but Helen, if you don't have internet, you might not be able to see the website.
Yeah, but other people will. Yeah.
But,
hey,
listen. I move to approve the tax insert informing Wellfleet residents of their eligibility for Comcast coverage, so long as there's room for it.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Janet, aye.
Justina, aye.
Ryan, aye.
Michael, aye.
Helen, aye.
Okay, so now is it Karen that sends everything out?
Yes.
So
Mia?
Yes.
My suggestion to you is to just see in which way, if it is full, that you can get it in there without without it being an issue. You may be able to put it on small paper or some vellum or something like that, printed on something that's really light.
Okay, yeah, I'll see what Karen says, what the options are, and I'll just double check with her. And we are going to continue to put the announcement everywhere we can. We'll put it on the website. We'll make announcements at town meeting. But as somebody said, we'd like to reach people who don't have the internet. That's the so.
That's kind of the point. Ryan, did you have something to say before we move on?
Yeah, I just one of the inserts, I believe, is the recycling committee, and not related to relief, for needy relief. And I would pull that in the favor of having an insert for this.
Well, let's see what they all are first, because we can do 4 different organizations. We can put 2 inserts in front and back. So let's see what they are before we get into pulling things. I think it would be a good idea to leave out the tax bills and put the inserts in.
Yeah.
So,
It could be like one of those Valpak mailers.
Yeah.
I'll check with Karen Murphy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. How about, let's see, let's move to the next thing, please. Open and closing of the Herring River. Nancy, are you on here?
What's that?
So we got our water quality back from the state and passed with flying colors. So there's no impediment to opening the Herring River when it's scheduled to on the 15th, which is next Monday. This Monday coming up.
Okay.
And then while you're at it, if you just close it, that way it's just easy to do with the state.
What do you mean?
We do the opening and closing all in one motion now, and that way it's taken care of for the whole time it's open.
Okay. All right. I move to open the Herring River as of a half hour before sunrise on Monday, March 15th, 2021, and to close it 1/2 hour after sunset on Tuesday, March 15th, 2021, as directed by the Mass Division of Marine Fisheries.
Hold on. It's to close on August 31st.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We got a typo here.
Yeah.
I just read blindly without thinking. Okay, so I move to open the Herring River as of a half hour before sunrise on Monday, March 15th, 2021, and close it 1/2 hour after sunset on
Tuesday, August 31st.
August 31st, 2021, as directed by the Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries.
Helen, second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Justina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, aye.
Helen, I.
Look, the motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Lieutenant Island Bridge repairs. Mark, are you on here, or Jay?
Yeah, I'm on. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to inform the board that the DPW has gone out for bids for various repairs on the Lieutenant Island Bridge. Some of those repairs include a new deck, railing repairs and augmentations, pile bracing, repairs on the approachments and abutments. We received a low bid of $258,000 from Aetna Bridge Company. We'd like to hopefully get all of the work done this spring. So it's kind of important that we move right along with this. All of their references have come back favorable. So before you is, I guess, approval of the contract with Aetna Bridge Company for that amount.
Okay. Helen?
Yeah, through you to Mark, your institutional memory is going to be useful here. A long time ago, but I was around, repairs were needed on the bridge, if you remember.
Correct.
And town meeting didn't approve the money, and then the state fixed it. I have 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Who actually owns the bridge, the structure? And why did the state then step in and pay for it when the town did not want to vote to pay for it? Do you remember? Do I have it right? I may be misremembering.
Well, it was, I remember it very well, although the year's not coming back to me, Helen. But I was very persistent at that time because the town did not vote the funds, but the state was in the mood to tackle some bridge repairs at that time. I forget the terminology for it, but they were insufficient bridges throughout the state at that time. And Lieutenant Allen Bridge happened to be low-lying fruit. So I got a call one day and they said, we're going to fix the town's bridge. And I wasn't going to argue with them. So they put a new deck on it and railings at that time, but there was a lot of other parts of it that needed attention. And in order to get to those parts, we need to do a new deck again also. And it's also in need of repair again.
Yeah,
so you're right.
So it wasn't a default thing that the state automatically does. You described it very clearly. So the next thing is the town does own it, right?
Right.
But the town, what part does the state own out there?
The state, as far as I know, doesn't have any interest in it at all.
Or the road on either side?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Unless I'm missing something.
No, I just remember it was confusing back then.
Yeah, but it was on the state's list of insufficient bridges because it has to be inspected. So that's why it came to their attention. So they wanted to tackle it. So that's what they did. And the town didn't have to pay a penny for it.
Thank you.
Hey, Ryan?
Yeah, so with the rebuild or repairs, I guess is the right terminology. Will it be any visually different than the current structure?
No, the only thing that will be, if you're really looking close, well, it's going to look visually different because it's going to be new timbers.
Yep.
Structurally, it'll be almost the same, except maybe some underlying engineering upgrades that will be made along the way. The railing will look the same, but it'll be different because it has to meet a different code, meaning it has to be a little bit higher. But it's not going to be offensive by any means. So it should look basically the same.
Okay, that's my only question.
Justina?
Yeah, this is a question through you, Michael, to Maria Broadbent. What's the procurement process for this?
The question was about the permitting process?
Procurement.
Well, Public Works put it out to bid, and this was someone that answered that request for the bids.
Correct.
I'm not sure your question. I mean, they followed whatever the requirements were.
Well, it's my understanding we're usually supposed to have a procurement officer involved, and that there's a procurement process. So I was hoping you could outline that to us. You took the procurement class, which I haven't. So I'm hoping.
I've taken the first two procurement classes. I've still got another one to finish.
Yeah.
But I believe, Jay and Mark put it out to bid, and, as far as I know, they followed the process.
Yeah, this is Jay. Through Mike, can I respond to that?
Yes, please.
Hey, Justina.
Hi, Jay.
So we did follow all the procurement laws. We actually hired a outside firm, postal engineering company, to assist us with the bid solicitation. So we did follow the protocols in Mass General Law to solicit sealed bids for the project. So we did have 7 bids, and Etna Bridge was the low bid.
I see. Engaged an outside firm to help the town.
Yes.
Great.
Right.
Okay.
So the outside firm put together what the specifications were and what needed to actually be done in the bid package. That's pretty standard practice for us.
Exactly. They were the design engineers. So we helped out with the front end documents is what you call it. And they provided the specifications and design plans to solicit the bids.
Right, and they stamp the plans.
Correct.
Right. But Jay was saying, in terms of having any granular procurement questions, you had a resource?
Yes.
Yes, because we normally use an outside firm for that.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay. So can I have a motion?
I move to approve the bid from Aetna Bridge Company for the Lieutenant Island Bridge Repair Project.
Do we want to authorize somebody to sign it?
Well, I guess so. I mean, that's not, yeah, sure.
Would it be the town administrator? Can it be the town administrator?
Don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's listed on the.
What, Rebecca?
I thought I saw it listed that if the clerk for the select board signed it and the town administrator signed it, it would be legal. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought I read.
I think that we have to have a select board member sign it, I believe. And we have to vote to authorize that board member to sign on behalf of the board.
Right, in other instances, you have set it up so that the clerk and the town administrator can sign.
Yes. I don't think that's currently the way, so we can do that, but we just have to put it in the motion.
Okay, so why don't we do two motions? I move that we approve the bid from Aetna Bridge Company for the Lieutenant's Island Bridge Repair Project. And then the second motion would be, and to have the town administrator and or the chair of the select board sign the contract. Which do you want?
I think we set up the document so that the clerk of the select board and
Let me try. I'll make the motion here.
I'm looking.
I move to approve the bid from Aetna Bridge Company for the Lieutenant Island Bridge Repair Project and authorize the clerk, Ryan Curley, to sign on behalf of the select board.
Okay, second.
Roll call vote.
Janet, aye.
Tina, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Ellen, aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. Okay, Ryan, you can sign it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So approval of final RFP for 95 Lawrence Road Task Force. So we have someone from the task force here.
Hi, Michael. Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi. I'm here along with my trusty sidekick, Gary Sorkin.
Hello.
And we're very happy to come back tonight. We met with you. We met with you several weeks ago when you approved the RFP that you had in front of you at that time, pending incorporation of the wastewater language, which has been done, and seeing all the attachments. So the packet that you got does include that entire package. Happy to answer any questions. It would be wonderful to have your approval so that we could move forward with releasing it, ideally before the end of the month. We're in a period right now where getting it out would really optimize the potential developer who might be selected to be in line for the funding round that would be available this year. So happy to answer any questions and tell you any more about the process of releasing it if you want to know.
Okay, Ryan?
Yeah, so hello. I was in the wastewater meeting with you two earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
So the wastewater component basically says that the town has 2 years from the date of signing an agreement with the developer to implement wastewater solution at that location. The wastewater committee seemed to, I mean, they might have changed it now, I don't know, but they seem to be planning a 3-year plan of funding requests to fund the facility, which creates a potential, basically a year, their timeline's a year longer than the timeline in the RFP. And I just want to make it clear to people that it's really important to not let that slip through the cracks. So if it takes, a higher level involvement on behalf of town administration, let's say, I would be really encouraging that to ensure that the developer doesn't use the fallback provision, which is just to install an IA system to service just the 95 Lawrence Road project and not the surrounding area as I don't know, as we've indicated our preference to be. And I don't know, the only other comment is I think right now it's a 2-phase construction process for the for this, the sewage treatment, or I would say septic treatment, and then the treatment facility, and then a later rollout of the sewer shed. And I would just say that the sooner that we can do a full rollout, the better for everybody. And that's all So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Helen?
Yeah, through you to Elaine or Sharon or Gary or anybody who can tell me the answer to this. What is implementation?
Helen, you're muted, but we can still kind of hear you for some reason.
Helen appears to be on there twice somehow.
Oh.
Hi. So what does implementation mean legally in this case?
Helen, could you repeat it? That didn't come through very clearly.
Sorry. What does implementation mean legally in this case?
You mean issuing the RFP? Or are you talking about the wastewater?
Well, we have 3 years, so when does the clock start ticking? The wastewater committee is saying 2 years. You're saying 2 years. When does the clock start ticking for you?
I think
if I understand the question.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gary.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'm sorry. If I understand Helen's question correctly, the implementation wouldn't start. The start date for the implementation, we had a contract with the developer. So that would be the effective start date. And if she's talking about the language from the wastewater committee that's incorporated into the RFP, it says that within 2 years from that date, it would be up to the town to implement the wastewater. So we haven't yet got to the trip date on that, nor, as far as I know, have we completed the strategy for wastewater, going forward to the town or to the select board.
Muted, Helen.
Helen is, okay, one of her accounts is off now, I think. So, Helen, are you there? You have your hand up?
You're muted.
Okay. Sorry about that. This seems kind of, to tag on to what Ryan said, kind of scary. because 3 years, who's going to make sure that this happens within 2 years? If we sign the contract now, the clock starts ticking, and the wastewater project, can it be done in stages? So that all the things that need to get done that we want to do, besides the actual Lawrence Road structures, could just be the first part, but it would be seen as a continuum that wouldn't have to be finished.
Helen, the provision is, the timeline starts after the contract signed with a contractor. So they're going to be under contract at that point. It doesn't start when we approve this RFP to go out.
Right.
So there's the timeline doesn't start right now if we approve this. It starts when a contract's signed with a contractor. And so that should be adequate time for the town to do its due diligence and make sure that the rest of the system is connected.
So the contract start date is scheduled to be June of this year. For the
No.
No?
For the RFP, this says June of 2021.
Yeah. If I could just
June
maybe
15th.
review the timeline.
Go ahead, please. Yep.
Right. Yeah. The deadline for applications is June 15th. We would hope to select a developer by August 15th, I think, and sign a contract sometime in September. I wish that our consultant, Laura Schufelt, could be here with us tonight because she reviewed sort of the timeline with the wastewater committee and felt assured that this could work, because once the developer is selected, they have a lot of work to do too. And she thought the timeline was very doable. I mean, I agree with Ryan that, the town has stepped forward. The wastewater committee is really working hard on this, as did the water commissioners for us. So there's no way that they can pull back at this point. So we trust that everybody's full in on this and, doing the due diligence to allow this to happen. We were at the wastewater committee meeting today. They're really on top of it, stressing the fact that this is not only an affordable housing project, but it's a project that's going to improve the watershed, and feeling confident that there will be money available for it. So it is, this is a huge project, and the timeline and making sure everything works is really important. But I think that everybody's pretty aware and will work towards that.
Kathleen Bacon.
Yes, good evening, Select Board and Mr. Chair. I just want to reiterate what Elaine has said. We're hopeful that the wastewater committee will have an article on our town meeting warrant with regard to this wastewater treatment center on 95 Lawrence Road. It's going to be a modular build, starting with the 46 units of housing, and then subsequently adding on the police, fire, and elementary school. The third prong of that modular build will be offering it to residents. But we are all on the same page, and we are all doing due diligence so that we can critically achieve this timeline. I want to reiterate what Elaine has spoken about with regard to the timeline. And why is that so critical? Because it cues the developer up, rather, into the funding round. So I would ask that you accept and approve this RFP draft. And we will, we're going to release it and hope for the best here. Thank you.
Ryan, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I do support issuing the RFP. The treatment facility, the treatment facility itself is going to have to be funded at the latest in the annual town meeting of next year. So if it looks like that schedule is not getting met, this is mostly to you, through you, Mr. Chair, to Maria, is if that schedule starts slipping, I really would hope that at that point, town administration departments would try to make sure that schedule doesn't slip and take over part of the responsibility. So,
Sure.
Thank you.
There's no one from wastewater here. Is there some reason why this can't be on this year's warrant?
They're going for design this year, from what I understand. But we don't know what's going to happen between now and next town meeting, and whether or not they'll have everything done by then. Hopefully they will.
Okay, Elaine, you have your hand up again?
Mhm, yeah. It was my understanding at the wastewater meeting today that it was a really excellent discussion. And they talked about looking to fund just maybe the groundwater permit or some design, as Ryan said, but also started to talk about, should we look at this as funding, looking to fund or authorize potential borrowing to fund the system for Lawrence Road itself. And so I think that's still under discussion. I believe they're going to be meeting with you, but I think they're really looking at the big picture to make this work.
Yeah, and earlier we just had a thing about how low the bond rates are right now. So right now is the time to strike. So
yeah.
Okay, so I'm ready to have a vote on this. I don't think we need
Mr. Chair, could I just say one more thing?
Yes, please.
I just want to point out that there is a mechanism for amending RFPs after they've been issued, if for any reason something comes up that needs to be addressed. And the process for that is to issue an amendment to every person who has expressed interest. So, I would hope in approving the RFP, you would also authorize the committee and Maria or someone, if the need arises, to issue an amendment to the RFP, that we'd be allowed to do that.
I guess I would want to, as a select board, be able to meet on that to discuss what the amendment might be. I'm not sure.
That could have, the timeline, if you're only meeting every 2 weeks, that might be a really, really tricky thing to do. I wanted to put it.
Yeah. Okay.
You could have it be for material changes.
Yeah. And
Just a thought. And we certainly could share with you anything where we received comments from any of the bidders on something that didn't make sense to them and needed whether it was just an item that needed clarification, or if it was a material change that would have, some obvious substantial change to the process.
Yeah, time sensitive, we can meet pretty quickly, but you're saying that maybe this would have to be like an immediate.
Well, if we can get the RFP out by the end of the month and the deadline's June 15th, there's an optional site meeting in 3 weeks, and
right. Yeah. Okay.
We're on a roll once we start doing it. And
this is all in the near term.
Right.
Any change in RFP would have to happen like in the near term anyway.
Right. And just one point I'd like to be really clear on in terms of issuing the RFP and procurement. to issue it and put it in the central register and advertise it, we do, you do need to have a fully certified procurement officer associated with the RFP. We're in an interim position in the town right now, but we will soon have a fully certified procurement officer. And I'm also waiting for a call from the Inspector General to just clarify for us how we can issue the RFP in the near future and meet all the requirements.
We do have one procurement officer that's fully, the full procurement officer in town, Suzanne Thomas, right now. So I don't know if that would help in any way. I think she's the only one right now that's fully authorized.
Okay. So it may be that we would have to come back to you. I don't know if Maria can name her, or if we would have to come back to you on the 23rd to have her named, if that's, if the IG.
I think it's just,
she's already registered and certified. She doesn't need anything else to be done there.
Okay, that's great.
And when the new ATA starts, she can pick up the ball. She's already looking at this document now.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
okay. So I have more hands up. Justina, and then Helen, and then can we vote?
Yeah, not to hold anything up, but just real quickly, I had to say how incredibly moved I was to receive this final RFP from Elaine and the rest of the people involved. It is Wellfleet at its finest. This incredibly professional document put together by volunteers, and it's an honor to receive it. And thank you for everyone involved for your service and hard work.
Yep. Okay, Helen?
Yeah, is the new ATA, this is relevant, is the new ATA already certified
Yes.
and so forth as a procurement officer? And
Yes.
good. And the second question is, my memory is you have to be re-qualified at times. Is Suzanne currently qualified, or does she have to re-up in some way?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we need to check that because she may not have, she does so much, she may not have done that. But the ATA, who's coming in pretty soon, is. Thank you.
Okay. And I will just really, before we vote, I guess I'll just make a quick statement about the obvious need we have for housing in this town. And so I have high hopes for this project. Real estate has currently, we've seen a surge in real estate prices. I think the median home now is well over 600,000. So the need for this, it couldn't come soon enough. So thank you everyone who put the time in.
The median's $647,568.
And I believe last year it was 529.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Or
Like
583.
583.
Okay, do
Okay.
you want a motion?
Yes, please.
I move to approve the final RFP for the 95 Lawrence Road project dated February 19th, 2021.
Helen, second.
A roll call vote?
Janet, aye.
Justina, aye.
Brian, I.
Michael, aye.
Helen, aye.
Okay, I have a second motion. I move to approve the town administrator. Elaine, can you help me out here? What did you need?
I guess to approve the town administrator working with the task force to.
For any future amendments to the RFP?
Yeah.
Okay, I move to appoint the town administrator to approve any future amendments to the RFP for 95 Lawrence Road project dated February 19th, 2021, with a preference that it be brought before the board if feasible.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Christina, I.
Brian, I.
Michael, aye.
Helen, I.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we
Thank
move
you.
on,
Elaine, Gary,
thank
who
you.
else is on? Good job.
Before we move on completely,
Go ahead, Ryan. Yep.
do we have to sign anything for this? The board?
No.
Okay.
Not until you have a contract in front of you.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, I'm scrolling through because I'm all digital over here. It's a long RFP.
Yep.
Okay, so establishing a real property transfer fee for the town of Wellfleet. Helen, okay, we're at 8:00 now, so I think we can get to these last two. I wasn't sure if I would put these, if we would have to put these off, but I think that went quickly enough. So why don't we take care of this? This was on, Ryan did send us an email reminding me that this was on a 2017 town meeting warrant. I don't know what the result was of that. But
May I address that, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, Rebecca, can you screen share that, please?
Yep, give me 1 second. I don't know why it didn't pop up, but Zoom is not my friend this evening. Hang on.
Yeah, so I'll talk while she's doing that. So, first of all, representing myself just as myself, I did call Sarah Peak, and we have to refresh this. Ryan and I were both moving on this separately without knowing that we were both doing it. We would have made a lot of money from this year. And can we, this is tiny. I'm trying to think, how can I look at it more closely? Oh, there we go. Anyway, the language of this, which, if I remember correctly, was carefully thought out. Some towns have the tithing of the property taxes start at a much higher number. We had it at 500,000, so that we would get more from smaller sales, less expensive sales, but it would be spread out more evenly. That's debatable what the numbers should be, but the form of this article has to be resubmitted. And if we want it done, we need to do it on this town meeting warrant. If the five of us don't want to have this language in terms of the amount of money, we should talk about it and decide. And Sarah said she'd file the legislation the minute we did it. So June 5th, could happen right after that. Many, many towns, many municipalities in the state are asking for this. And apparently nobody has gotten it yet. I'll, pass this to Ryan because he got information that I didn't have yet.
Okay,
But
I'll go to Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go to Ryan now to give us some more information and then around to the board.
Okay. The city of Boston asked for this recently. Chatham has as well. Some other towns. Boston got pretty far into the process, but it kind of got interrupted with COVID and the legislation that was happening then. It does have to be refiled every session because it doesn't. As far as I can see, nobody's been granted it yet. Boston actually asks for 2%. Wellfleet asked for 0.5%. For last year, the town of Wellfleet would have generated about 190,000 if it was at 0.5%. There's a few exceptions though that would reduce that further. Wellfleet, as it had been proposed, it created an exception for sales between family members. And from what I can tell so far, I haven't looked at all of them, but I think Wellfleet might be the only one that did that. and I don't know. I mean, I would want it to be 2%, which would have generated, basically $600,000 for the town. That could be funded towards affordable or housing in general, which is a much better chunk of change to work with than 190. So, thank you.
I have no problem with the percent being higher, but I take issue with the set value of real estate being 500,000. I think the cost to sell a home, if you're in that price range, is 6% to the realtors. Plus, there's a lot of expenses in selling a home. Is this transfer tax only on the seller?
It's so as it was here. It was the seller. For Boston. It's split 1% between the seller and 1% for the buyer. And the 500,000, it basically subtracts 500,000 from every
sale.
Yeah.
Sure. I totally understand that. So if you sold it for 550, then only that 50,000 would be taxed.
Yes.
At 2%. I really think that raising the rate to 2% and increasing the sum based on our real estate market, you do have people who are basically at, their equity levels or whatever equity they have in their house is, somewhere in that region and selling to add a cost to their sale. It could negatively impact people who are of modest means, right? So I know that if you have a median home price of 550, then I think it should probably be set to above the median price. I think that's sort of, especially if we start raising the rate up to 2%. I mean, we have a lot of homes in this town that are selling at 1.2, and 1% of 100 and something thousand is significant amount for somebody of modest means whose maybe only real wealth is in their house, in their equity of their house. So
yeah, and so the thing with that is I'm kind of in the same boat. I would like it to be tied to the median house price, because it's going to be, if it's passed, it's an act of legislature. So that 500,000 would basically be set, and it wouldn't be allowed to float with home prices. If you said to the previous year's median home price, then you're still talking about a lot. I mean, it would have been $500,000 for if we had done that, or were able to do that. So,
Janet?
So I think Elaine McElroy is still on. I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago that she and I talked about this. And we just figured there would never be houses over $1 million. And would it really be worth taxing people who have lived here a long time and are selling the houses? So I think that we have to go with the median home price, that if we change it, you guys aren't talking like you're doing it lower, but if you change it to go lower, that requires some kind of application to the state. And there are towns that charge more than 2%. So I'm all for this. The Cape and Islands Selectmen and Councilors Association is actually having their meeting Friday on this that I requested. So you guys should have all gotten an email, and we'll find out more. Nantucket's been doing it for quite a while, And there are towns like in the city that charge a lot more. So I would move to approve us doing this, but I'd like to hold off on numbers until we get more information. And I don't know if you're planning on going by the numbers or whatever in the Chatham example.
What's Chatham set at?
Chatham's 0.5 at 2 million, I believe, which is
5 at $2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that at all.
Right.
I would like to do 2% at the median home price.
Yeah, I think that's the norm, and we can always change it.
I would actually prefer it to be like something like if we can't tie it to median, right? So we would
No, we're supposed to tie it to median.
Yeah.
We do tie it to median.
And it will go up.
What will go up?
As long as home prices go up.
Oh, I thought, Ryan, what you said was that it could float with the median.
Well, the median does float. Every year it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought you said that whatever gets passed, whatever it would get passed, it couldn't float with the median. I misunderstood what you said.
For the article as it was drafted, basically $500,000, it would take an act of legislature to change that amount.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Tying it to something that floats makes a whole lot more sense to me.
And I mean, I'm all for 2% minimum.
I'm a little confused here. It seems like we're jumping right into some pretty precise language and numbers. We know for sure that we're constrained exactly as written, the median, and so forth, because I'd rather work from what are our objectives, what's our perfect article, and then what are we allowed legally to write. I think if we don't do something about our housing crisis, everyone knows, and can we include a voluntary tax on top of it? We have a lot of people joining our community who are buying property, who are people of means, and so forth. Maybe they'd like to make a voluntary transfer tax above and beyond. So rather tonight than writing the article, I'd be interested in agreeing in principle that a transfer tax could be great, and then getting a little more information.
I agree. I don't think we should vote to place this tonight or anything, or even I don't think we're anywhere near that personally.
Yep.
I definitely want to think about it more. I'm happy to see it up here. When I think about the
Point of order.
And Chair DeBasto, I'd also like to know if legally, for example, can we make a distinction between second home versus primary residence? Can we make any distinctions for first-time home buyers? Can we make any distinction for people disadvantaged by income? Maybe not, but I would really like the select board to define our goals and then work from there to what's possible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I am a little concerned with the idea of people's only asset really being the people who have like their only asset and being their house, and tying additional taxation to those people who basically may be using whatever income that they generate off their home sale to retire,
right,
or something like that. I think you could get caught in, even at median price, in a situation where people are paying a tax to the town that, I mean, let's be honest, we can't tax our way out of our housing problem. But the funding helps, we do need funding, but like, where should that funding be derived from? It should probably be directed at people who are driving the price of real estate up, not people who are fitting into this median median house price. And I know you subtract the price of the median house, but you get into these situations where potentially you're adding an expense onto somebody who could potentially not actually have any wealth or income, that is using or being forced to maybe sell their house in order to retire or downsize or something like that somewhere else. So I don't know all the details about that. So I think Gary's on here. He's got something to say, Gary Sorkin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to reiterate what Justina said. I was a little bit involved with this, and I do want to give homage to Bob DeBow, who actually did a lot of work on this. But when we sent it to the legislature, we were told this is a dead issue, not going anywhere. And no one has actually gotten it through, as far as I know. And where we really need is to make common cause with the rest of the Cape and or other towns in the state so that we have more political force behind it. Because I don't think that we could have it be X percentage and over X dollar. But unless somebody in the legislature takes it up strenuously, it's not going to go anywhere. So I think that's really the key, is to find out what are the people on the Cape doing and how can we join with them.
That sounds sensible.
Mike?
Yes, Helen.
Yeah, two things. Point of order. So it has become conversational, and while I thoroughly enjoy hearing what everybody says, I thought we had decided to be a little more orderly. So I would appreciate if we could wait for the chair to call on us. Okay, that would be great. Thank you. What I want to say is, Justina, if Justina, or any one of us needs more details, by all means. But my memory is that this can't be given the kind of allowance that we do in some ways within the town. That's just my memory. Let's confirm it. In other words, people that have less money, second homeowners, I think it's kind of a straight up state thing for property tax. Let's confirm that. But I am absolutely for what Ryan has said and what I thought about before I even knew he was looking at it. If you have it be a floating median sales price, as identified by, you have to refer to an agency or some organization that defines that every year. I think it's a state agency. And then you have it at 2%. That seems reasonable to me, rather than putting a set fee in there that has to, a set number in there that then has to be changed. Because if it slides and the median goes down, it can also adjust automatically from year to year. And how can we go about answering the questions that some of us may have? I would be ready to have the language changed in those two ways. The formula is the same, and to have it on the warrant. But for God's sake, let's get it on the warrant so that Sarah can file it for us. And we can join this huge number of municipalities that are wanting this. Thank you.
I also, actually, Janet's got her hand up, and go ahead,
Well,
Janet.
I was going to say, I'm all for it. 2%, the median. Those are numbers that you use, and they do change. I think everybody who has had a house in Wellfleet, even for 3 years, that median price has gone up so that they would be making money off of their home. So that was an issue maybe a while ago. I don't think it is an issue. But as I said, Friday morning, there's a whole meeting on this, and people are going to be explaining it. You all certainly have been invited to attend, but I think I think there's legislation out there to look at and just copy it and get it going.
Can I ask a question? What I think I would need to know what the potential tax revenue difference is that we would receive if we were put it at the median versus put it at $1 million. And because part of the thing is, if you split it between the buyer and the seller, let's say 1% each, then somebody who's trying to buy at the median or just above the median is also going to be subject to a 1% tax on there, whatever's over, which is something that I don't think we're trying to do.
Oh,
So there's already an excise tax on real estate sales of 2% on all real estate sales.
Yeah.
We'd be adding another 2% to that. And that's the way it goes. Again, when Elaine and I talked about this, the median price was maybe $250. It's gone up that much. The seller, yes, pays it, but I do believe the seller passes it on to the buyer. And if you're talking about $100,000 purchase or a $200,000 home, $1 million home, it's only, it's only like $20,000, the extra that you're paying, right? 2%. It's not a lot of money. And I would like it to all go towards housing. And I've already thought that we could possibly have it go towards a buy down purchase or subsidizing mortgages and things like that.
Justina?
Yeah, I think this has been a great discussion, a spirited discussion, a lot of great points raised. But this is an important vote. I don't think we have to rush into it tonight. I'd like to report back from Janet's meeting on Friday. And, this would affect a lot of people's real estate transactions. So I, for one, am not ready to vote on this tonight.
I agree. Okay. So can we take no action and
Mike,
Keep going.
got my hand up.
I hear you, Helen. Go ahead.
Okay, the thing that hasn't been brought up that I also want to keep in there is that if you sell to an immediate family member, you don't have to pay it. And if we got it in there last time, let's keep it in there because that should really not be tithed. Thank you.
Ryan?
To just respond to a couple things, the difference between the median and $1 million would be the difference between $506,000 and about 200. So less than half if you set it at $1 million. And the change recently is the city of Boston. That's really, I mean, we all know that's where the state's political power really is, and they're going for the full 2%, 1% on the buyer, 1% on the seller. That's
what's the target amount? Sorry, excuse me. What's the target price in Boston?
For Boston, it's $2 million, but the majority of Boston houses or units have multiple housing units in them. So you'll get like a triple decker with 3 different, basically it's a 3-family home.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I was just curious. Okay. So let's expect this to come back for us then.
Hey, good.
That would be great.
We can all think about it. I certainly haven't put much thought into it before this, so I'm not prepared for, okay. Approval of a warrant article for town meeting to exempt the town of Wellfleet from prevailing wages on small projects. Ryan, do you want to just quickly explain?
Yeah, sure. So this was actually, I forget. So Sarah filed this bill for one of the other towns. I don't know which town, Sarah Peak. And then I figured that it wasn't a bad idea for the town of Wellfleet either. It's for projects up to $50,000. And, it's a way of reducing the cost burdens of some of these projects. And I don't even think there's not very many contractors locally who also are qualify for prevailing wage as well. So maybe it opens the door to some local contractors as well for small projects. That's basically it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think generally it's a good idea. I don't know what prevailing wages really are, and if anyone in Wellfleet charges less than prevailing wages. But
the majority of them, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I was asking. So, yeah. I mean, I'm okay with putting this on the warrant. I think that it seems like it's should be up to the town voters. Justina?
Through you to Ryan. Ryan, is this a step towards our local builders and other craftsmen being able to work on town projects?
Hopefully, yes. I can't say for sure though. But yeah, the prevailing wage determinations is one of the issues that makes it really hard for local contractors to work on town projects.
Thank you for doing this. It's a perennial topic of conversation in town, as we all know. It's like our talented builders.
Yeah, there's still other hoops that they'll have to jump through.
Do you have a schedule of prevailing wages that you've been looking at or something like that?
No. The prevailing wages, each type of job is subject to a different prevailing wage. And usually it's constructed in such a way that essentially only unions largely can qualify for prevailing wage jobs within the state. So,
okay. Janet?
I agree with this. I have some questions though. I see Suzanne's on here. I was hoping Jade Norton would be on here too to see. I would like input from department heads. And I know too that when you do work on, say, town-related projects, there's things like, I haven't been in the business for a while, but you have to be bonded. You've got to have the insurance. You still have to have some paperwork in. And I also wonder in this day and age where we're trying to raise the minimum wage, I would like to know what the wages are. So I would not like it if this goes below the minimum wage that's being suggested of $15 an hour. I doubt it would for somebody doing the work, be it an electrician or a builder or something. But I would like department heads. I mean, this is good. So I just think we really need a lot more information.
I think for example, like this is from 3 years ago for house cleaners, the prevailing wage was something like $20. If you look at the ads every spring, there's the H2B ads, the advertised positions. And those are all the prevailing wage determinations for a set position. And people don't know them until they literally apply for it. So.
Okay.
Okay, Helen?
Yeah, small project. So at a certain point, the need to put things out to bid, whether the people are local or not, has to happen. But what is the formal definition, the official definition of a small project? What is the project price threshold? Do you know, Ryan?
For this petition is $50,000, and that's the same that Sarah Peak filed for one of the other towns on the case.
Yeah, okay. So, this is great. Thank you.
Okay, Justina?
I'm prepared to support this.
Okay, so let's just take a vote then.
Do you want me to make a motion?
Or what?
Yeah, can I just say something? So we think it's a good idea, but we can only vote to put it on the warrant when we look at the language, right? We need to see the language of the article.
The language is provided, Helen. It's included in the packet.
Yeah, but not with,
The full language.
so you want to use this, that this is what Sarah filed, right?
Yes.
Whose language is it? Okay, that's what I wanted to know, if we had to have it be other than this. This is it.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe Helen should make the motion.
Okay. I move to recommend and place the article petitioning the general court exempting the town of Wellfleet from prevailing wages on small projects as written.
Second. Good.
A roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Justina, aye.
Ryan, I.
Michael, aye.
Ellen, I.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, and now we are on to select board reports. Who's got one?
Let me see.
No one?
Let me look at my papers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. I forgot. Never mind.
Went to the wastewater committee meeting today. I don't know. That's it.
Oh, I do have one. I am a member of the MSI task force and on the working group. And this morning we had a meeting where we went through public comments one by one. It was really constructive. I missed the beginning part of the meeting, but the working group is taking seriously all of the public comments that were submitted during the comment period for the draft report that they've issued. So it's been really thorough, and those meetings you can watch on the Mass Shellfish Initiative website. And yeah, that's it. Helen?
Yeah, so Maria and I met with two lawyers. Well, one of them is a retired judge, and one of them is Katie Klein, who we work with off and on at KP Law. If you remember a little while ago, the select board, sent these questions regarding use of private ways in subdivisions, generally, and more specifically in different subdivisions that were mentioned. So Maria and I and the two very smart women met, and the questions were addressed. And we got a written determination, which I requested because I wanted us all to get the same material. In other words, I could report to you everything that was said pretty much, but it seemed to me that we all needed to know about it. And I do recommend that you go to the link, you Google the case law that was mentioned. There are a couple of citations. It doesn't take long to read about them. And they have to do with a lot of things that we're concerned about. So anyway, that finally got done. Thank you.
So what did you learn, Helen?
Well, since it's late and I've been told to be brief, I'm laughing here. Almost never, if ever, can you use a private way to get to a public property.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I read your email.
It's all in the letter. Yeah. It's way more complicated than that.
It is, okay? And that's not how I read it. So we can't deliberate on it.
Okay.
So let's just leave it at that.
I'm just reporting.
Okay. Janet?
I will briefly say that I went to a Zoom Mass Municipal Association meeting on housing choice, and what they're talking about with ADUs and what the state is proposing. And I know I emailed all of you the link. So it's a very informative meeting. You can catch up on housing, which we all should be caught up on. And there was also a Cape Cod Technical Council meeting I went to that was all about connectivity, getting people to have Wi-Fi and all that. So I'm putting together a little group, and Mia, I haven't contacted Mia yet, but she'll be on it. And another select person from Eastham and a couple other people, but to really try to it was all about the importance of connectivity. And especially in COVID, we've seen that kids can't get their homework if they're being remotely, they can't do it. I don't know. And the amount of money, even making your doctor's appointments online saves doctors like $20,000 a year or more. So it's really important that everybody's connected. I'll send you guys the link, but I don't think you'll really watch it.
Okay. Helen, other one or what's going on?
Yeah, just touching base. So we're still on track to go back to 7:00 with daylight savings time, correct? Yes, no?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
I say no, not if our meetings go 4 hours. I mean, I'm going to cut out at 10, whatever. So we can't talk about that. It's not on the agenda tonight. So
it's future concern. I'm bringing it up.
Oh, we're at future concerns. Okay.
No, we're at. Yeah.
We're not at. We're still on select board reports, but let's go to future concerns.
Town administrators.
Town administrators report. Maria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple of things in my report we've already kind of discussed, so won't go over them again. The bond rating and the successful sale of bonds. Heather is on here, but I wanted to give her kudos for 2 really great grants that she's received to look at financial and human resources policies. The more we look, the more we find that each of the departments sometimes kind of does their own thing. There's a lot of legal issues that need to be centralized and covered in a more concerted way. So we'll be looking at those policies. The auditors are just about done. I say Heather and I both expect that you will get a lot of details from their financial management report. For whatever reason, which is nothing that I've ever heard of, you didn't get a management letter last time it was audited. You didn't get details of shortcomings or corrections that they recommend or require. So we expect that, and I would hope that maybe we don't do it starting at 7:00 at night, but maybe we have a late afternoon session where we just go over the information from that audit report, because we anticipate there's going to be a lot of details in there of changes that we need to make, a checklist, as it were. And the others, looking to bring to you fee schedule. We're looking to consolidate fee schedules so they're not all over the place in your bylaws and your website. You can still keep them the way they are, but there will also be a fee schedule of all the town fees in one schedule, recommendations for changes in some areas, and we'll be discussing those with FinCom and then bringing those forward to the select board. And then also looking at the viability of VADAR. The VADAR system that you have, unfortunately, doesn't allow it to be expanded to other modules. So that's something that we really need to talk about. And the other thing is, I'm not sure if Heather's done with the information that the IRS has requested for the audit of our fuel sales, but we don't have anything back from them yet. We don't have any more information on that. That's pretty much all that I have that we haven't talked about already.
Justina?
Yes, I actually have a couple of questions about the report. What is the current policy in keeping town hall open?
Town hall policy hasn't changed since we put in all of the rules for COVID. It's by appointment only.
So we weren't affected by the March 1st new state rules?
We haven't changed anything.
So what is the policy to keep town hall coverage and the phones answered?
It's the same as it has been. If folks can work from home in all the departments, we haven't changed any of those rules, then they still can.
Is anybody answering the phone?
As far as
I can answer that. In the main office, Jeannie Mack works Mondays and Tuesdays while I work from home. Wednesdays and Thursdays, I work in the office, and every other Friday we trade off. The Fridays that you have to have your packets, I'm in the office. The Fridays that you don't, Jeannie Mack is in the office.
So you and Jeannie have worked out a covered schedule?
Yeah, Maria helped us figure out which would be best for us and for our safety, so that's what works.
And Maria, how often are you in the office?
This week I will be in on Wednesday and Thursday. It varies. I'm generally in the day after select board meetings because I need to sign the stuff that you approved.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. That was helpful. And then I have only one other comment. It did concern me tonight that you weren't aware whether Suzanne Grote Thomas, our town's currently only procurement officer, have been certified or not. So I'm just going to leave that there as a comment because
I was aware that she's certified, but I'm not aware whether she's been putting out the bid packages or not. Most of them have been going out through Mike Travato.
Right.
But I was aware that she does have certification. I'm not aware whether she's current on it or not, but I was aware that she has certification.
Well, I'm not here to nitpick, but it did sound somewhat concerning. I'll just leave it at that because it is an important function for the town. And it's wonderful news the TA is coming and can cover that function. So.
Yeah, it was one of the top priorities that I placed in selecting which candidates to interview.
Well, that was very clever of you, Maria.
Thank you.
Okay, Maria, I was in the contracts of Lawrence Road and of hearing we needed it for Lawrence Road and of having it come up. It's just, I would have liked to know exactly who is doing what on procurement as it came up in the context of tonight's meeting.
In the case of 95 Lawrence Road, the Housing Committee had first approached the purchasing agent for Barnstable County, just because we got a couple weeks lack, before new ATA comes in, and turns out that she couldn't do it for us.
Sure.
So, no, it's a high priority for us, and we'll make it happen.
Okay. So in other words, we've been doing our best to make do until the assistant TA candidate that you've recruited and selected is coming on board.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure. You got a bridge vote in front of you. You approved tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Janet?
So over a month ago, we got a letter from the planning board requesting in regards to climate change and mitigation. And to make it short, I hope everyone remembers that they sent this 2-page letter that they're recommended the select board and town administrator establish a high level and meaningful townwide mechanism to plan for and institute a comprehensive approach to address climate change. I think in many ways we would include the CONSCOM in that. I'm not sure exactly what they're asking for, but it should be on our agenda at some point. You remember that letter?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think there's those that are done best when you get as much community input as possible.
Yeah. So, so us.
Okay, so that topic for future agenda, is that?
I don't know. It's a lot. You don't remember the letter.
No, I kind of remember the letter.
It was not clear what they really wanted. They want a climate action task force or another town body. And I think a lot of this work has been done. And we could ask Hillary, but
this was
I can look it up for you if you want, Janet.
well, why don't we just put on climate action task force tonight, and then I'll look into it.
Okay. And let me know if you need my help with anything.
Yeah. Okay.
We already have a climate action.
I know, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Energy committee was recast as energy and climate action.
Yeah. So maybe it's just a matter of sending out an email and getting everybody involved.
Who sent us the letter? Wasn't it
The planning board.
Mike, it really was generated by David Mead Fox, bless his
He's on
heart.
the climate and action
Yeah.
committee.
Hold on. And, Janet's right. This is happening anyway in all the different groups. I mean, the Shellfish Committee did a whole thing with
Yeah.
Seth Fuller. And we just
I
need,
don't want to get into
Hold on.
discussion, Helen.
yes, I know, but there have been other things said about it, and now you're shutting me up. Never mind. My sense of humor is good tonight. Where I'm going with this is I don't think we need an agenda item about it right now. We're staring down the barrels of the budget. We have a ton to do, and other committees are taking care of it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so we're topics for future agenda now.
That's what I thought we were on.
Yeah. It's
We formally moved there, so let's do it.
okay. So there's something important coming up, which is, and we need to do it supportively, the 6-month review for our new town administrator. And
Wait,
this is a future concern. This is a
but
future.
we've got other things on future concern we haven't gone over.
Well, can't we bring up anything on there? Mike, what do you want?
I have something on there that precedes it that I would like to say something about.
No, okay. I thought it was kind of all on.
I didn't mean to jump on you.
So, okay, topics for future agenda that's up here on our meeting. These are ones we've already been requested. So we have a list, so we don't repeat ourselves, basically. Or we can look at it and determine, we'd really like to get to this soon. So it doesn't really matter if somebody suggests something right now for topics for future agenda, that's fine, out of order, whatever. So Helen having her hand up and stating her future agenda item, that's one we've already talked about. It's on here.
No, it's on there.
Yeah.
But there's part of it that we need to do before we do that, which is we need to take a look at the document that has been used in the past before we do this with Maria, because that document we looked at before some of you were on this, and it's really weird. And there are things on there that you don't rate somebody like that.
Okay.
And so we all please have the document sent to us as soon as possible and in paper so that we can all look at it. So when we get to that, we've done something with it before we use it to rate Maria. Thank you.
I would like to request that we have a working group on the review for Helen's concern. I have another concern to raise. I have a technique to get personnel feedback I think would be helpful. And I have some questions for KP Law.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's just put on the agenda then. If you guys want to do this, we can put on the agenda process for review or something like that, and we can get that stuff out of the way before the review. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes, and when some of the newbies see the document, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, and the document was emailed to everyone, I believe.
We had an agenda item on it a few months ago, or shortly after Maria was hired. But
I actually just emailed all of you the document, the TA document a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
The one that looks like a form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it into Word document instead of an Excel form because it was a lot easier to read as a Word document. You have it and I can resend it to you if you like.
Okay. Well, let's just put it on there. We'll do it what I suggested. That way we can talk about the process if you guys want, and then we'll do the.
Can this be a working meeting?
I agree with Justina.
Process.
I think it should be only because you wanted to do that in open session and then go into executive session. And I think you needed to be in executive session fairly sooner rather than later, from my understanding.
Yeah. We'll figure out how to schedule that.
I'll email you guys all and get your schedules.
Okay. Any other topics for future agendas?
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Executive session for what?
Something else unrelated to this.
Okay, thank you.
For very briefly, for the wastewater committee to come before us, I did do as Chair DeVosto requested. I reached out to Kurt Felix, of the chair of the wastewater, and he suggested that we do a joint meeting with wastewater because there's a lot of ground to cover. And he wanted, and I suggested that anyone in the select board who wants to, have plenty of time to ask questions for the material, not get kind of bogged down in a select board meeting. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but I'm reporting back because I was asked to.
Well, I think the last time that we did that was pretty productive when we met during the day for a wastewater update. Basically, it was pretty comprehensive. I don't see that fitting into the middle of one of these nightly meetings. So maybe we can schedule that as a separate time. Ryan?
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only thing that, or one thing that I've been kicking around is the small vessel regs. Basically, we need to take a look at them. They're in 4 or 5 different spots currently. But this would be something where Will would have to be involved as the harbor master because, so that's it. Small vessel regs at some point.
Is that something that we could wait until after the warrants?
Yeah, it's
Future. Okay. Good enough. Okay. And in our next meeting, we should deal with all the beach regulations so that the beach department is set to go and has all their.
Yeah. Has that been posted, Rebecca?
Jeannie Mack and I are working on having it posted twice before your next meeting, so it can be a public hearing at the March 23rd meeting.
Okay. Didn't I have to go today?
I think Jeannie Mack did it. Yeah, we were on it together and we've been discussing it all week, so I'm pretty sure she got on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I had told Suzanne that I would try to get on that meeting. So, okay. Yeah, I don't have anything right now off the top of my head. So,
Mike, can I quickly ask, when is the warrant due? When is the warrant closing? What are some dates here?
Well, we have our town meeting date set in June, beginning of June, first Saturday in June, is it? Helen knows.
Yeah, June 5th, I think. Yes.
June 5th. And I have all the reports, so my annual report should go out to the printer by this Friday.
Okay.
And I think you need your warrant 60 days before, right? Is that correct? Helen would know better than I.
No, Helen doesn't know.
So no, the warrant has to be printed and stuff, so it's.
I think it's 5 weeks. To have the warrant closed 5 weeks.
I'm sorry, Mike DeVasco would know. Chair Michael DeVasco knows this.
This is my second town meeting, and last year's was pretty weird, so I don't know that much about it.
Okay. 2 weeks before the date of town meeting, the warrant has to be put in the mail.
Right.
And every year, in my experience, the Rebecca and Maria kind of people have to have a conversation with the printer
Okay, well, let's get into that. That's not my question. I'm just wondering what some dates, when does the warrant close?
We have to close the warrant, I believe, by mid-May.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was, or we should say like end of April, really.
That would be good.
You close it, and then you
Mr.
send.
Chairman, we started to have this conversation in FinCom the other day. And we didn't finish it. Just, being able to roll back the dates a little bit because of the change in town meeting date.
Okay, so everybody's thinking about it because we do need to go over the whole thing. Okay, as long as you're on it, we'll get it together.
Can I finish the answer?
Yes, please.
After Maria and Rebecca have talked with the printer, and remember, times are special. So it's very important this year, even more than usual. And you find out when the last possible date is, and then, of course, give yourself a little leeway. And then we figure out what the meeting before that is for the final closing of the warrant, because some things go up to the last minute, preferably not. But that part has to, you start with the date of town meeting and you work your way back.
Right.
So the conversation with the printer should happen sooner rather than later, and then we should get a date to have it in mind. Thank you.
Okay.
And remember, we may need a whole dedicated meeting to just the warrant, and more than one meeting.
Probably two. Yeah, and let's not try and make it a marathon and not a slog that takes like months to get through.
Brent.
Maria and I will talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll get on when the warrant needs to be done. And I will call the printer and do all that and let you guys know.
Perfect. Okay, vacancy correspondence, vacancy reports. We had.
Do we want to talk about any of these letters we got?
Oh, I actually have this one from the Historical Society.
Yeah.
I think we need to respond to this as a town.
Mm-hmm.
This has been going on for like way too long at this point. I mean, the Historical Society is willing to build and maintain this stairway to offer access open to the public, and maintain it at no cost to the town. And currently that pathway is used, and it's not a great byway. So
do we have to approve it, or, I mean, I wasn't sure what we were supposed to do with it.
I think we just need to respond to them. I think we have to look back. It's gone on.
I thought you already approved that.
Yeah, we did.
It's just
that I think Helen wanted a memorandum basically between the town and them stating that they would do this and that we agree to it, that they would maintain it, whatever they put in this letter, and allow the use, the passage through their property, so that it's on paper. Helen might remember this more right now, but
So there in the office is something that's sort of quasi-legal commitment, but we need something more than that, because we're talking about, it's almost an easement, isn't it? And, this is not a problem with historical societies. It is now, and people walk up and down there all the time. But there's going to be the structure, and we need something a little more formal than what they sent. And I thought we had something. And this is the trouble with changing administrations and stuff. My memory, hey guys, do you have a memory of looking at something that was more official than that?
No.
No, we were waiting for it. And I'm going to suggest to move on that we send this letter and our notes to town council and have them draw up a memorandum. We don't really
know.
A
memorandum of understanding would probably be your best bet.
Yeah, that's all. That's all we need.
And then they just need to apply for building permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the risk of Chair DeBasto, at the risk of sounding dumb, did this get left on Dan's desk? Has anyone checked the files?
No, it never went anywhere.
It never went anywhere?
completed,
Okay.
yeah.
We brought it back up after quite a while after COVID hit.
All right.
And then they sort of wanted to wait after we had agreed to it. But we wanted some kind of documentation that they were willing to do these things. They had to go back to their board.
Got it. Okay.
And then they issued us this letter saying they're willing to do the stuff that we asked them to do. And so we just need a memorandum and then they can build it.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So can we have town administrator respond to this, stating that?
Yes.
Yeah, Maria, can you do that? Okay.
Yes.
Anything else here? Anyone want to talk about?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't know if your hand's still up or anything.
Yeah,
down.
it's up. Yeah, who knows? So just again, a polite reminder, things fall between the cracks. There were some things in the office, paper correspondence, one of which has a, time sensitive thing that had not been scanned and sent to us. And it would be really good the day it comes in, when it gets the stamp on it, the blue and red stamp, on that same day that it gets scanned and sent to us, given that we're not going in and out of town hall in the same way. And one of the things is something we get regularly from Eversource. They're going to use pesticide on the power lines again. And I'm sure they sent it. Typically, they send it also to the Health Conservation Department. But you should all take a look at it, because the first time one of these things came in, everybody stood up on their hind legs. And it's just as bad as it ever was. And the real issue is that you can have people going with the people that are applying the pesticides from Eversource. They have to notify us. But typically that never happens. And I've gotten reports, which I verified in past years, where they're spraying near vernal pools along the power lines. And the whole thing does not happen well. And we need to look at it and look at the document and think about what we may or may not do about it. Unfortunately, we can't tell them not to. It's a state law. But we can monitor how they do it and make sure that the Health Conservation Department is able to do that. And maybe they need help. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Helen. Justina?
No, nothing.
Okay, all right.
I got a couple things, Mike, since we...
Go ahead, Janet. I didn't see your hand.
I just put it up. What about the letters we got? I want to know if anyone, this would be something that the town administrator, the ATA may have answered. The one from the person complaining about the ATVs on their neighbor's property, supporting Women's History Month. And what was the third one we got? Oh, about officially congratulating the people at the Wellfleet Marketplace. Anybody respond to them?
No.
Okay.
I think I might, I just have a draft on my desktop responding to the person who sounds like he's got a bad situation in his neighborhood, or she has. It was hard. Actually, it sounds horrific.
Well, so before you respond to her, Helen, it's tricky. I mean, really.
I can fill you in a little bit. I know that she did file a complaint with the building department.
Okay, all right.
That being said, the building department had explained to her that it's on their own personal property.
Right.
There's not really much they can do. Other than, if it's a quiet hours, she was told to call the police if it's past 10 p.m. at night, which it hasn't been. I think she thinks it's making her property value go down. That was her main concern.
Yeah.
And I told her that I would let you guys know, but I don't know that there's much you can do because he's not breaking any rules.
Right.
Or anything, because I looked it up for her to make sure, and as did Paul Fowler.
Okay. Yeah, I've had dirt bikes around my property since I've been here. So yeah, there isn't much to be done. There's nothing to be done unless they violate something. So, okay. So do we want to sign the women's, the letter about women's, this, it's not on the agenda, but it's a simple letter saying we support Women's History Month.
Sure.
Come on, guys.
Is that well, that's fine. I just, if it's not on the agenda.
I know. Yeah.
Can we I don't think we can.
No. All right.
I'm sorry, Janet. I didn't see it. Otherwise, I would have slipped it right in there.
She didn't send it in Sunday night or something. Okay.
Did she send it? I don't think she sent a proclamation though, did she? Because you could put a proclamation on for the 23rd.
I've seen something. I saw something on. All right.
You just bring it to the next meeting.
I'll email everybody and we can just decide next meeting. Yeah.
I did not see that one. So.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see.
Wait, there's a letter from the United States Department of Commerce looking for comments. Where is that? I mean, where did anybody read that? What is that? Rebecca? Maria?
You had asked about it 2 weeks ago, and I put it back on there. I don't know why I didn't put it on here. You had said that you wanted to comment on it, and I never got any response. That's why it's not on here. But I wanted to remind you that it was there, just in case you did want to comment.
Yeah, no, we got mail, and it requests our board to do something that was not entirely clear to me, but this is under correspondence.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Can we move on to minutes, please?
I would like to do that.
Yeah. We don't know what they said.
Just ask Rebecca off the meeting what it was about. It's not on here anyway, so.
Well, we all got the letter, so let's read it and figure it out.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of February 23rd, 2021 as printed in a draft.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Janet, aye.
Justina, aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Helen abstaining, not recusing, abstaining. Thank you.
Both my parents as English teachers, thank you very much, because it goes to them before it goes to you.
Okay, the motion carries 5-0 with 1 abstained. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Helen, second. Yeah.
Roll call vote. Sorry.
Janet, aye.
Aye.
Brian, aye.
Michael, aye.
Helen, I love you all. Goodbye.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Rebecca.
Good night, everyone.
And everybody else.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We can get this sent off. So